I need all the wins, yeah. Ain't no L's, I gotta get a no call and quits, yeah. Gotta keep on moving no matter how hard it gets, yeah. Better move out the way, cause I'm coming with harder hits. My head is as hard as a brick, but I'm harder than all it is. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. My heart on my sleeve, stress, seal my greed. That's how I get it. Success ain't no giving. Some days I don't eat, I don't sleep. When I'm focused, I'm dangerous. They don't wonder when I'm anxious. Ain't no limit till I tank. I'm running on fumes. The opposition don't amaze. The roads racing through the pavement. Get your hands out of my bag. I know that's because I've been in it. I don't need to brag. I guess that's what happens when you taking care of your business. But some family, you do the math. I'm out of my pocket. Houston, we got a problem, man. Perfect, let them watch me. Elevating, got them nauseous. Cause I'm the pilot in the cockpit. Nose diving in the option. Woo! Watch out, get ahead. Watch out, get ahead. Watch out, get ahead.
It's time! Welcome to DFS by the Numbers with your host, Brady.
Better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out.
Why am I muted? What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers, and welcome to my final thoughts live stream for UFC 292. We have a very good card. Aljamain Sterling, Sean O'Malley for the bantamweight title, and then we have Zhang Weili, Amanda Lemos for the strawweight title. Really looking forward to both the co-main event and the main event. I have a lot of action on this card. It's one of those cards where I have a ton of plus money props. I have 19 bets, the majority of those being sprinkles, and 17 of those 19 bets are plus money, which I do like. So probably going to get a couple of those wrong and most of them wrong. But, you know, if I'm able to hit some of these big, giant plus money spots, you really don't need to get a lot right to have a very, very good night. So, yeah, a couple spots sticking out. Very good night of fights. No complaints for me for this card at all. So looking forward to it. Before we get started, if you guys can please leave a like on the video, subscribe here to the channel. It is always very much appreciated. If you guys have not checked out the Prize Picks video, go check it out. If you guys are new to Prize Picks, be sure to use promo code DFSBTN for a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. A lot of things sticking out on Prize Picks this week for a big card. Yeah, we'll talk some fights. We'll talk the tough fights. I didn't talk about the Katona Gibson fight on my full card breakdown video. We didn't know the matchup until late Tuesday. And then we got the Mario Batista, Blackshear fight announcement like late Monday night. So haven't really talked about these fights yet, but I do have a bet on the Batista Blackshear fight. So looking forward to talking about that. So as always, let's hit up the chat. And first one in the chat is my guy, Tony C. He's saying awesome card on Saturday for the fans and for betting. Phenomenal main card with Vera versus Munhoz, the handsome ladies title fight, then closing it out with Sterling O'Malley. Can't wait. I mean, yeah, this main card, it's stacked. Man, you have Batista, Blackshear on the main card, banger. We get Ian Gary gets to go out there and beat Neil Magny. We get to see that. We get to see Zhang Weili, Lemos, O'Malley, Sterling, and like you said, Vera, Munhoz. Just a very, very good main card overall. I think it's going to be worth the $80 or whatever they are charging nowadays. Jussie Q saying BetMGM has a Weili by armbar at plus 8,000 by mistake. If anybody's interested, 2 of her 8 subs are by armbar, worth a stab, 80-1. Yeah, thanks for the shout, Jussie. I haven't taken a look at those sub props yet, but yeah, they have some ridiculous prices on there that are worth some shots. I'll be taking a look at that after the show. We got my guy Forrest in the chat. What's up, Brady? He's rocking the squirrel, the bunny, the bird, and the deer. Love it. What is up? We got LJ. Let's go, Brady. Let's stack some money this card. Let's do it. Let's do it. It's a beautiful time to be a fight fan. Ain't that the truth? Some of these pay-per-views, 291 was awesome. 290 was awesome. This card is going to be awesome. And then 293, 4, and 5 are going to be awesome as well. So really looking forward to the pay-per-views as of late. Yeah, Jeff, a lot of people were on that Dawadu money line. A lot of people lost, 13, 14 leggers last week. So, yeah, that's why I always don't, mess with the judges, man. I mean, they've always been bad. Nothing's going to change. So, yeah, I mean, I thought Hakeem clearly won that fight, but it is what it is. That's the game we play, and it sucks sometimes. Sorry about that, Jeff. Got Laura Tom, let's go. Good luck. Oh, good luck to you as well. We got Samuel Ramirez in the chat. Happy Friday, Brady. I'm loving a lot of props for this weekend's card. Me as well. I have like 17 of them. So hopefully it's a good week. We got Sean in here. Let's go, Brady. What is up, Sean? Jacob saying, have a good feeling about this week. Lost 25 to a 10K parlay last week due to Pollyanna. Yeah, I mean, I didn't have any bets on last week's card. I actually saved all my action for this week's card. But yeah, Lucinda went out there and surprisingly submitted Viana, I saw. So that was kind of a weird outcome. I was thinking decision or maybe a knockout. Forrest said he smashed the like button. Appreciate you, Forrest. Knocked out. Yes, sir. We got Karta in the chat. We got Mark in the chat. We got John in the chat. Josh saying hit the like button, people. Best breakdowns on YouTube. Appreciate that, Josh. Lucid in the chat as well. What is the name of your intro song? I believe it's called Knocked Out. On the Chesapeake Bay Bridge to watch you. There you go. What is up, Ace? Everyone is on Morose. That is true. Karina's going to break her just like she did Souza. I mean, I think Morose is much, much better than Souza, but hey, it could happen, man. Karina Silva is dangerous. Got Charles in the chat as well. And GK going to the fights this week. Heck yeah. First one ever live. Can't wait. Yeah, you're going to a phenomenal card. Enjoy it, dude. Bet against Karina Silva. Learned the hard way. Brady, will you be betting on PFL? I have not had any time to look into PFL, unfortunately. I've actually was looking into Singapore today. I'm actually 11 of 13 fights taped for Singapore already. I'm heading out to Nashville on Monday for a wedding. I'll be there till like Thursday, so I'm going to get my Singapore breakdown and Contender Series breakdown out before I go there. Petroski, decision only, staple parlay piece. I can't disagree with that. We got Michael in the chat with a $9.99. Appreciate you, Michael, for the dono. And he is saying, let's go, Brady. Appreciate that, Michael. It does go a long, long way. We got David in the chat. What is up, David? Do you think Neil Magny's thought about what he's done? I'm not sure what you're asking there. DXJC. We got DB in the chat. What is up? Bill in the chat. What is up? Hit a killing on Prize Picks last week. I'm crossing my fingers for the paper. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff ticking on Prize Picks. We'll probably touch on some of that on the show. What's your best bet for the car? I'll talk about it in the co-main event. Both Silva's winning inside the distance. Yeah, I think it's both on the table. Let's begin now. We're about to begin pretty soon. If you think Batista gets the finish, we'll talk about that really soon. But guys, we got to get into it. And let's try to get those likes up. Already 136 of you in here. If you guys could smash the like button, I would appreciate that. I'll be going live tomorrow for Best Bet. And yeah, I'll be going live for Best Bet tomorrow, like 2 hours prior to the prelims. Make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss out on that. All right, let's get into it. And we're going to start with the first fight on the card. And I have way too much action on this fight. Way too much action on this fight to the point where, quite frankly, I'm a little uncomfortable. Like a third of my action is like on this fight, which is kind of disgusting, but I like the spot. So first and foremost, one of the first bets I made this week was the under 2.5 rounds at plus 110. Yeah, plus 110. And I had put a unit on it. Quite frankly, I was expecting for that line to move more, and it actually has kind of stayed the same. And basically, I mean, it's a Karina Silva fight. And Karina Silva fights, they finish. I mean, Karina Silva's a killer be killed fighter. She has 20 fights. She's been to decision literally one time, and that was a fight where she did lose that decision, a 100% finish rate. Karina Silva's been to the third round once in the last 10 years, and I'm not the best at math, but 10 years is that's a long time. So it's been a long time since Silva has been to the third round. So I think Silva's going to have a lot of opportunities early in this fight. I think she's very dangerous. Her nickname is Killer, and unlike Juliana Miller, she actually is a killer, and she deserves that nickname. She's super dangerous, especially when the fight hits the mat. So yeah, I think she's going to have her opportunities to finish Marina Morose, and although Marina Morose has never been finished, I mean, if Silva's able to get on top, I mean, she could very well finish this fight. So I like the under. I think as this fight goes on, I do expect Silva to heavily fade. We've seen her fade in the past. She fought on the Contender Series, and once the fight reached the second round, she looked very tired, but she was able to snatch up a guillotine. She lost pretty much every second of that fight, but she got the guillotine nonetheless. So yeah, I think it's going to be the minute winning of Morose here versus the moment winning of Karina Silva. And I think if Karina Silva does not finish Morose in the first 5 minutes, Morose is going to start to really take over, really put it on Karina Silva. And I think Morose is very live for a late finish to finish a gassed out Karina Silva in the second or third round. So I like the under. And then I also did sprinkle the late Marina Morose props, a quarter unit on round 2 plus 1,300, a quarter unit on round 3 plus 2,000. So I like those. And then a spot really stuck out to me. And it was what was it? Was it yesterday? It was Thursday morning. And I wake up. I slept in a little bit. I wake up and I look at my phone, and there's this line that was, in the back of my head all week. And it was the Marina Morose decision only. And I'm like, yeah, it's going to be minus 200. But I'm like, even at minus 200, I might just play it because I think, Karina Silva is a minute loser. She's going to be losing minutes wherever this fight goes, whether it's on the feet. It's going to be Morose, doing better work on the feet, much more volume, much more accurate. And then on the mat, Karina Silva is content to lose minutes off her back, throwing up submissions, all that, right? So I thought the Marina Morose decision only was going to be like minus 200. And then I wake up, I check Bet River Sportsbook, and it's at minus 13. And all of a sudden, I jump out of bed. I run out into the kitchen and I tell my wife, it's an emergency. Where's my debit card? And then I'm like, because I'm thinking about maybe max betting this. And then I think about it a little bit. I'm like, I don't want to put 5 units on this stupid fight. So I'm like, okay, what's a good amount to put on this fight? And I'm like, okay, probably 2.5 units. So I'll have 4 units on the fight in total. So I just think if this fight goes to decision, it's much more likely than minus 113 that Morose wins this fight. So I think it does finish, but that decision only makes a ton of sense at that price tag on DraftKings Sportsbooks at minus 125. And for those of you that don't know, because it confused a lot of people, because this is not a bet I typically do, but the decision only is just the complete opposite of the finish only, which means if this fight finishes, the bet is voided. So I think this fight probably does finish, whether it's Silva early, Morose late. But if the fight does go the distance, I do like that decision only. From a DraftKings perspective, I love this fight. I think Silva has first round upside, and I think Morose has minute winning upside and late finish upside as well. And like I said, if this fight does go the distance, I do expect her to get her hand raised. So I'm going to pick Morose to win this fight by late sub, but I'm fully aware Karina Silva is going to be super dangerous early in this fight. See here. We got Uncle Wheezy saying, "Oi, the Bootsy Collins Memorial dogs are barking. Pick of the week. Let's go, Morose." Yep, it is the first one. Hopefully, you can start it out on a good note. I'm right there with you, and I would agree. I mean, I think Morose is probably one of my favorite, if not my favorite, dogs of the week. But like Sean's talking about in the chat, she is a very popular dog. Brad Martin can beat up any of these scrubs. He's 260. LOL. So your night is make or break off the first fight. Kind of. I mean, if Karina Silva wins a decision, yeah. I mean, my night. I mean, it takes a massive hit. Not to say I'm going to be done because I do have a lot of bets on this card, but the worst case scenario is Karina Silva winning a decision, which I don't think that's the most likely outcome. So Silva will sub her. Yeah, I mean, if Silva subs or nothing's really hurt there. Get the cash under 2.5. So yeah, I mean, I'm fine with Silva early finish. Everyone and their brother is on Morose. Not going to work out well. Yeah, a lot of people on Morose, very popular underdog, but for a very good reason. I mean, she's going to be the minute winner, but Silva is dangerous. David likes Karina Silva. David is much better with the WMMA than me, so maybe he's right, and she's going to absolutely have opportunities. Silva early sub. What's your opinion on PFL? I haven't even checked PFL. 7 fights for real. That's it. My goodness. I think it's gonna hit Morose decision here. Yeah, if it goes the distance, I think it's Morose. But I'm hoping for like Forrest is saying, second round sub, third round sub especially, plus 2,000. Sign me up for that. Morose is interested in being a Playboy model. That is true. She is into the OnlyFans nowadays, and I'm surprised Dixon Sider is not in here right now. Typically has some good insight on this OnlyFans, but she's one of those fighters who I think she's had an OnlyFans for a while, and she's still, looking interested in fighting. She's training at a good gym, ATT, with really good fighters like, Jacqueline Amarim, who we just saw, Mara Bueno Silva. So yeah, I think she's still interested in fighting, but yeah, she is doing that OnlyFans for what it's worth. Karina's not even going to take 10 minutes for this. I mean, if Karina wins, she's not taking 10 minutes. When Karina wins, it's over shortly after. Do you see a split majority decision? Not here. I mean, not in this matchup. But Morose is everyone's dog. That is true. They always lose. No thanks. Silva first round sub. Hey, you could be onto something. We shall see. But I'm picking Morose. But I was one of the first to pick her because I got my video out like Saturday morning. So, but yeah, I mean, it just makes a lot of sense unless you think that Silva subs are early, which could happen. But Morose has never been finished, so we'll see. Anything but a Karina Silva decision. A Karina Silva decision would annoy me quite a bit. All right, we'll move on to the next fight. We have Natalia Silva going against Andrea Lee. We got Natalia Silva, massive favorite here. She's sitting at minus 300. Andrea Lee plus 250. Looks like some money has came in on Andrea Lee. Silva was around minus 350, minus 330 all week. I don't have much to say here. I think that Silva wins this fight, but I have no interest in parlaying up Karina or parlaying up Natalia Silva this week at minus 350. It's getting priced as if Andrea Lee's a bum. I don't think she's a bum, but in terms of picking Andrea Lee to win this fight, it's kind of hard to do. I think that Silva has really good takedown defense, so I don't see Lee taking her down. I think if anything, it's probably Silva taking down Andrea Lee. And then on the feet, I think it's going to be competitive in terms of the numbers, but the harder shots, the more impactful and powerful shots are going to be coming from the Natalia Silva side. I don't really see in what way Silva looks minus 350 here, but I think at the end of the day, making a pick, it's got to be Silva, and it's Silva by decision. Don't have much interest in this fight from a DraftKings perspective. I'm not playing Natalia Silva at 9.4K when there's a million better options up there. And then if anything, it's probably Andrea Lee at 6.8K, but even that I'm not too excited about. So not a ton of interest in this fight, but I know everybody's parlaying up Natalia Silva, and I hope the best for him. Hopefully she goes out there and gets it done. Karina win. Now this ain't even going to take 5. You're talking about the Natalia Silva Lee fight? Silva by sub again? Maybe. I mean, Lee has been sub before. Mo against the odds saying I'll make 3,500 because I'm with Lee. You're taking Andrea Lee there. Not a ton of people are. Natalia Silva to win by sub plus 400. I'm more so on the decision, but the decision is probably like a terrible price. Silva by decision, and I wish these Silva fights weren't back to back because it's kind of tricking me a little bit. Yeah, plus 115, plus 105. I got a Silva 2-leg parlay plus 125. 5x. Goodness. That's a lot to lay on Karina Silva. Yeah, Blum. I'm waiting for Dixon to get in the chat, but I don't know. Is Andrea Lee even motivated? I'm not sure, why she wouldn't be. I mean, I don't know. All right. So, yeah, not much interest in this fight. No bets on it. No real interest from a DraftKings perspective. I think we can move on to this next fight. So this next fight, Petroski, Meerschaert, it's a fight where I think as a fan, I like it a lot. I think it's going to be a very fun fight, but it's one of those fights from a betting perspective where I can just see like 50 million different outcomes. And typically when I can see like 50 million different outcomes, I don't really want to bet the fight. Like I could see a Petroski first round knockout. I could see a Petroski, second or third round TKO ground and pound. I could see a Petroski decision where he lays on Meerschaert for 3 rounds. I could see a Meerschaert come from behind submission in round 2 or round 3 in typical Gerald Meerschaert fashion. I could see so many different outcomes to where I just don't want to touch the fight. The fight doesn't go, obviously, is in play as maybe a parlay piece, but it's minus 270 to minus 300. So not much sticking out here. I was looking at maybe Petroski first round knockout at something crazy, but they're kind of all over it. And then obviously the Meerschaert sub 2, sub 3 props are always in play anytime he fights. But like I said, they're kind of all over that as well. You're not getting like the typical crazy prices you used to get back in the day for Gerald Meerschaert. So I'm passing on this fight. I don't really want anything to do with it from a betting perspective, but from a DraftKings perspective, I love this fight. I think Petroski has a ton of upside, whether it's an early knockout or a decision where he's racking up takedowns, control time. And then Gerald Meerschaert, as far as a live dog, he's live in pretty much every fight, and he's sitting at 7,400. So from a DraftKings perspective, I'm going to be extremely high on this fight. But from a betting perspective, not much is sticking out, and I'm content with just passing on this one. Maybe like a live bet entry on Gerald Meerschaert if it's something crazy. But outside of that, I don't really want anything to do with it. I can see a ton of different outcomes. GM3 is a dog. Yes, he is. Yes, he absolutely is a dog. You can never count out GM3. I sprinkle Petroski inside, even odds. That's not bad. I mean, Petroski, he's a decent-sized favorite, and his inside the distance is even money. That's not terrible. Petroski has 3 ways of winning. GM3 has 1. That's a good way to sum it up. That's why he's the favorite. Petroski could win by knockout, sub, or decision, whereas GM3, he's never winning decision in the UFC. He's never knocking anybody out. It's sub. So I think that is true, and that's why Peter's talking about the decision only. Minus 250. That's probably a good bet, right? Like minus 250 is probably a good bet. But I mean, when we're talking like the judges these days, I mean, it could get a little sketchy, but I don't like a Meerschaert decision would kind of shock me. Petroski does indeed train with Joe Pyfer. That is true. Andre will finish him. Don't know how. Yeah, it could be knockout, sub, or decision. GM3 is going to fraud check this bum. I don't know if he's a bum. I think he's pretty decent and only getting better. But Meerschaert, you can never count the guy out. Andre will win by KO, TKO. Got to sprinkle the round 3 sub. Yeah, I don't hate it. I mean, I just think that, let's see, what are those round 3 sub prices? Meerschaert round 2 sub plus 750 plus 1200. And then round 3 sub plus 800 on Bet Online, and then plus 1900 on Bet River. So not getting the crazy prices that I would like to even think about sprinkling them personally, but I think they could be live if you want to test your luck. But I'm not betting this fight. Moving on, and don't worry, I have a lot of bets on this card, but that fight was not one of them. And this next fight is really not one of them at all. I don't have any interest in this fight from a betting perspective, a Draftkings perspective, and a fan perspective. I think this is probably going to be the worst fight on the card. I slightly lean Katona to go out there and probably win a decision. I think where I thought the Cody Gibson, the finish only, the scorecards, no action would be a spot that I would take a look at if it was a reasonable price. And it's not a reasonable price. It's like minus 160, which I don't want anything to do with. So yeah, I mean, I think Katona probably wins this fight by decision. It's probably a very boring fight in typical Katona fashion, but I think he should go out there and be the minute winner and grind this one out to win by decision. From a DraftKings perspective, 8,500 on Katona. I just think there's much better options with finishing upside. And Gibson, if anything, it's probably Gibson, but maybe he can finish Katona. I just don't personally see it. So I think this fight goes to the decision more often than not. I think it's the second heaviest or heavily favored fight to go to decision, and for a good reason. So not betting on this first tough fight. I'll be betting on the second one we'll talk about in a second, but not a ton of interest in this one. Yep, Katona is going for two-time Ultimate Fighter. So, yeah, I think he gets it. I think it's an interesting storyline. He's won it before, and I think he probably wins it again. Bailey saying, I don't even know what these dudes look like, and I really don't care to know. Why would they put tough fights on a pay-per-view card? Yeah. I mean, I don't hate the fact that they did it, but I hate the fact that, these tough fights are just not interesting at all. I mean, I'm not looking forward to really either one of them. So, I mean, if they were exciting fights with exciting fighters, I think, sure, do it. But I don't think either of these fights are that great from like a fan perspective. I'm on Cody. I just don't like Diva Brad at all. Yeah, from like a fan perspective, obviously, nobody likes Brad Katona. But I mean, if we're talking fighting and stylistic matchup, I think you have to favor Brad. But yeah, I think everybody's in the opinion of wanting Cody Gibson to win. That's for sure. This little 2-fight stretch is the DoorDash roll up some mulch section of the card. I don't disagree with that. What percentage would you put for Chito Vera to win? Not as much as everybody's thinking. Like, people are going out there, and I can't wait to talk about that fight, by the way. People are going out there, parlaying up Marlon Vera this week and straight betting him. I'd say probably 60%. Minus 150 seems about reasonable to me. Minus 200, I think that's a little iffy, considering if this fight does go the distance, I expect it to be close. So I'd say like 60%. 6 out of 10 times makes sense to me. So yeah, appreciate the dono, Lenny. $4.99. Appreciate you. 238 likes or 238 watching, 60 likes. Don't be scary. Yeah, guys, hit the like button. Let's see if we can get 100 by the time we get out of here. terrible, tough finals indeed. Yeah, I mean, I'm not excited. I don't know if anybody's excited for him. Not me, not really. Will this stream be posted on YouTube afterwards? It sure will. It sure will. All right. I have 5 2-part parlays with faves for UFC 292 and Blanchfield next week. Yeah, I did tape the Blanchfield Santos fight just like an hour ago. Isn't Cody hurt? He was hurt on the show, but the show finished like a couple months ago, I think. So he should be fine. All right. Let's move on to the next fight. We're going to finally get into some action here. So we got Austin Hubbard going against Kurt Holobaugh. I was also not planning on betting on this fight, but there was a prop that really stuck out, and that's the finish only for Kurt Holobaugh. So I saw it sitting at like -115 on Bet Online Sportsbook, and then on Bet Rivers it was like +105, and then on FanDuel they were hanging a +108 on Kurt Holobaugh finish only, and it's simple as this: one of these fighters is a finisher, and one of these fighters is not a finisher. Austin Hubbard, a 47% finish rate, which is one of the worst finish rates on the entire card. Kurt Holobaugh, an 84% finish rate, one of the best finish rates on the card. I think this fight probably does go the distance. It probably does go the full 15, which, this bet is probably going to void. But I think if there's a finish in this fight, it should be favored that it's Kurt Holobaugh getting that finish, because Kurt Holobaugh, he has power. He has a very good submission game. And Austin Hubbard has been submitted 2 times. Kurt Holobaugh, black belt in BJJ. And Kurt Holobaugh, for what it's worth, he did call the guillotine. He said Hubbard's going to shoot in for a takedown, and he's going to snatch up his neck. So, yeah, I think, like I said, I think it probably goes to decision. I think Hubbard probably does do enough to win the decision. But if there's a finish in this fight, I don't think Holobaugh should be the underdog in that aspect of things. So that's where I'm at for this fight. 1 unit on that finish only. FanDuel calls it decision, no bet. And it got it at +108, and it is still plus money as far as I'm concerned. From a DraftKings perspective, it's Holobaugh or pass. Holobaugh, like I said, he's a finisher. If he wins, I think he can put up a big score. So, yeah, I don't mind Holobaugh as an underdog on DraftKings. And then Austin Hubbard on DraftKings, no thank you. He just doesn't score enough. So give me Holobaugh from a DraftKings perspective. Give me the Holobaugh finish only. But in terms of a pure prediction, it's probably Hubbard by boring decision. Do you lean Blanchfield or Santos? I'm picking Blanchfield, but not a ton of confidence. What do you think Vera and Welly parlay at? I would not parlay Marlon Vera. I don't get why people are doing that. I mean, if you like Marlon Vera, you'll get him at -105 after the first round. I mean, he doesn't show up to the fight until the second round. So I would just wait to the second round to bet Marlon Vera personally, but he's a very popular play this week. If Brad and Austin both win, very likely they'll be quite boring fights. Couldn't agree more. I think Kurt finishes them. I hope. I mean, I'll catch the finish only there. That'd be nice. I'm putting my life savings on Blanchfield next week. I don't know if I would do that because Santos is a very, very good fighter in her own right, and arguably she beat Valentina Shevchenko. Aldar agrees there. All right. Let's move on. Everybody's max bidding Blanchfield. Good luck. I think it's a tough fight, but I am picking her to win for what it's worth. All right. Olajuwon, which I pronounced his name right for the first time. Cheeto round 2 and round 3. We will talk about that soon. All right, moving on. We got Gregory Rodriguez going against Dennis Toulan. So I said before the show, I'm taking some shots on some big plus money props. And like I said, you don't need to hit a lot of these to have a very good night. And this is where the plus money props begin. So I had something circled all week, and it was the Gregory Rodriguez submission prop, but everybody had that circled apparently. Not getting the best price tag that I would like on it, but I think it's a very likely outcome. So I have a half a unit on Rodriguez to win by submission plus 225. And then I also have a quarter unit on Rodriguez sub 1 plus 390. And then a quarter unit on Rodriguez sub 2 plus 1100. So, I mean, in terms of the grappling between these two fighters, it's night and day. Gregory Rodriguez is an incredible black belt in BJJ. This guy's grappling is next level. He doesn't use it as much as he should, but his grappling is very, very good. Dennis Toulan, it looks like he's never grappled in his life. I mean, it's his grappling is horrible. I mean, we saw what Jung Young Park was able to do this to this guy. if Rodriguez takes this fight down to the mat, I think he subs him pretty easy. It's just, will Gregory Rodriguez do that is the big question. If he does, I think he subs him within the first round. So it's hard to trust him to do that, but I did hear an interview with Gregory Rodriguez, and he talked about it for a while. He talked about how he wants to get back to his roots. He wants to get back to, what got him to the UFC, what got him here at this point, and that's the grappling. I think Rodriguez is finally starting to realize that, hey, I'm getting hurt in every single fight, and even in fights I'm winning, I'm getting hurt and wobbled, and I'm also getting knocked out a lot. And I think he's starting to realize that, hey, he probably should go out there and get the fight down to the mat. He's talking about how he really, put a focus and an emphasis on jiu-jitsu in this camp, and he's working with some jiu-jitsu guys. And unless he's a liar, I think he should go out there and take this fight down to the mat. So we're going to see on Saturday whether or not Gregory Rodriguez is a liar, which I already think he is kind of a liar because he says he's 31 years old, and in reality he's 45. So now that I think about it, I'm actually kind of concerned that he's not going to grapple, and he's lying about that because, once a liar, always a liar. And this guy's 47 years old, not 31. So maybe he is lying, and maybe he does go out there and stand and bang with Dennis Toulan. But if he does that, he could still win that fight. But that's, Dennis is only path. Dennis has a 90% finish rate, all 90% by knockout. Anybody with a brain could see that, Dennis, his ground game sucks, and he's been sub 4 times. So it all comes down to the game plan of Rodriguez. If he does take him down, I think he subs him here. From a DraftKings perspective, I like Rodriguez quite a bit. I think he has takedown upside. I think he has submission upside. I think he has first round submission upside. As far as Dennis, if you want a dart throw, if Rodriguez goes out there and fights dumb, yeah, he's going to be live because Dennis does one thing well and one thing only, and that's he hits hard. He likes to brawl, and Rodriguez has been finished by guys like Jordan Williams. So give me Rodriguez to hopefully fight smart, but we'll see if he does. All right. Yes, sir. I've been practicing on it. I've been working on it all night last night. Elijah won. There we go. Do you think Petroski under 2.5 takedowns is safe? Not really. I could see him getting a takedown in each round, or if Meerschaert gets up. This guy, Petroski, does go for a lot of takedowns. Unless you think the fight ends early, which maybe it does. RoboCop must have a deal with a cartel where if he wrestles, his family dies. I don't know. Something's going on with Gregory Rodriguez. Like this guy, if he doesn't grapple here, something's up. I'll take roided Barack Obama over to Toulan, but fight goes to removal by stretcher. Seems like a word that Brady hates. Rhymes with sock. I don't know. It's not. I'm not sure what you're saying there. RoboCop is the closest thing to a lock on this card. Yeah, if he fights smart. So he's not a lock because there's a good chance he doesn't fight smart. If Rodriguez is 31, then Toulan is 18. Yeah, he's not 31. That's a big lie. This fight is just deciding between KO and sub. That's the truth. RoboCop all day, probably by finish. Rodriguez all day. Both sketchy fighters. Rodriguez inside the distance is something like stupid, man. Rodriguez inside the distance is, I want to say last time I saw it was like minus 225. It is currently minus 220. Rodriguez inside the distance is minus 220. So I'm playing the sub prop, which is big plus money, but obviously you can knock him out. Dennis sucks either way. Don't disagree. At minus 225 is wild. Under 1.5, minus 185. Yeah, I don't know if they think Rodriguez is Terrence McKinney or what, but yeah, I think it probably is. Just pretty chalky. All right, let's move on to the next fight. We have the featured prelim. We have Brad Tavares going against Chris Weidman. And this fight reminds me a lot of a fight we saw last month. It was Bobby Green going against Tony Ferguson. And I nailed that fight to a T. I'm like, I think Tony Ferguson is done. I think he's on his way out. And I think Bobby Green probably finishes Tony Ferguson in the third round. But I was wrong about the method. Tony Ferguson was so washed and done that Bobby Green didn't knock him out. Bobby Green submitted Tony Ferguson, which quite frankly still puzzles me to this day because Tony Ferguson didn't get submitted by Beneil Dariush or Charles Oliveira, but he was so done and so on his way out that he was submitted by Bobby Green. So, I mean, it's the same thing here. I mean, I think Chris Weidman's done. I think he's been done for a while. The last time Chris Weidman looked good in a fight was 2017, which, as far as I'm concerned, was a long time ago, 6 years ago at this point. His last win in 6 years after the Gastelum win was the Omari Akhmedov fight where he looked horrible. But luckily for him, Akhmedov looked even worse. So, I mean, he has a gruesome injury. He's taken 2 years off. And now he's coming back 2 years and like 4 months later. And a lot of people are picking him this week. Like, I'm actually kind of shocked how many people are on Chris Weidman this week. If this was Chris Weidman in his prime, obviously he wins this fight, but I don't think we've seen Chris Weidman in his prime since like 2016, maybe 2017, like years ago. Now he's 39 years old. He's taken a lot of damage coming off of an injury, a layoff, 6 knockout losses for Chris Weidman. I think Tavares knocks him out, and Tavares isn't knocking out anybody. Tavares has like 2 knockouts in the UFC. But I think if he's going to get a knockout, it's going to be here. Like I said, it kind of reminds me of the Bobby Green fight because Bobby Green only had like 2 knockouts. One was against a realtor in Ally Quinta. So yeah, I think Tavares knocks him out here. And then what sealed it for me? What sealed it for me was Chris Weidman at Media Day said that he's going to be champion, which is actually quite funny because Tony Ferguson said the same thing. So I mean, it all is just coming together. It's coming together. Chris Weidman, I mean, I don't know why he said that, but it makes me think that Brad Tavares is going to knock him out much more than I already did. So I have 3 bets here. I have half a unit shot on Brad Tavares inside the distance plus 120. And then I have a quarter unit sprinkle on the knockout 2 and knockout 3. Knockout 2 plus 650. And then knockout 3 is plus 1,300. I think Brad Tavares knocks out a gassed out Weidman in the 3rd round there. From a DraftKings perspective, don't have a ton of interest. I think Tavares does win, but I think if he does win, it's probably late knockout or maybe even decision. And then Weidman, I mean, maybe he has wrestling upside, but Brad Tavares has elite takedown defense. So give me Tavares here. Not a ton of interest in a DraftKings perspective, though, but I do like those Tavares finish props. Something tells me Tavares is busting up parlays. Yeah, I don't know if many people are parlaying Tavares. If they are, I think that leg probably hits. Weidman should retire. Brad is going to KO him. I think he KOs him as well. Weidman says he's in his prime. He hasn't been in his prime for 6 or 7 years. Weidman says he's in his prime. Weidman says he's in his. You said it 3 times. I get it, but he hasn't been in his prime for 6 or 7 years. Weidman, Willie, and Sterling all by sub plus 20,000. I think Wiley and Sterling sub are very live. I mean, I think Sterling and Wiley sub are very live, but I don't know about Weidman there. What is up, brother? Let's cash big. Let's do it. Let's do it. Rigged. I mean, if it's a rigged fight, potentially, but I mean, it's hard to break it down that way. I mean, maybe he does believe what he's saying, but I don't believe it. I mean, I don't believe it at all. So, because you could see, I mean, you go watch the Akhmedov fight. I mean, he looked horrible in that fight, and that fight at this point was like 3 years ago. So, we'll see. A lot of people are on Weidman. I disagree, but I've never picked. I've picked against Brad Tavares probably in every single one of his fights. I mean, I hate Brad Tavares, but it's just I think Weidman's done. So we'll see. I was right about Ferguson being done, and we'll see if I'm right about Weidman being done. Weidman by decision. Yeah, if he wins, it's probably by decision. But I mean, I don't think he has the gas to go and wrestle his way to decision. I just don't see it. Brady, it's nice to know there's people out there making our price better against Weidman by believing he's anywhere. I mean, hopefully nobody believes that. I mean, it's not true. It's a lie. He's not in his prime. So I mean, hopefully nobody's believing that. No faith in Weidman. I mean, if this fight was 7-8 years ago, then I'd have some faith. Yeah. So to be fair, Tavares is done too. No, he's not. I mean, I'm a big Tavares hater, But I mean, he's not. He's still going. But we'll move on. We'll see if Weidman can pull off the upset. Well, we have Marlon Vera going against Pedro Munhoz here. And yeah, I'm glad you could as well, Han. What is up? I don't think they saw his leg now. But we can move on. We have Marlon Vera, Pedro Munhoz, and we have, I want to see where this line has gone. So Marlon Vera is currently sitting at minus 183, and Pedro Munhoz plus 158. So I don't have a ton of interest in betting this fight, really. I think that, more than likely this fight probably goes the full 15. It's heavily favored too. The fight goes to decision. Was sitting at minus 325 all week until recently. It's minus 290, which is still, kind of ridiculous for two guys that are finishers, especially Marlon Vera. So I think the most likely scenario is this fight goes to decision. It's competitive. Marlon Vera loses the first round because he loses every single first round outside of the Sean O'Malley fight. So right off the bat, he's going to be down a round. And then Marlon Vera is going to win the third round, and it's all going to probably come down to the second. I think we have probably a split decision on our hands. But I have a weird feeling about this fight. I really do. Something seems a little bit off. Like every time we expect a fight to go the distance, and we heavily expect that, like no chance there's a finish. I mean, it tends to finish. Like every time I'm like, I want to bet the split decision prop. A lot of times, the fight ends up finishing and just surprising people. And I think that might be the case here because the more I dug into it, the more first off, I looked through Marlon Vera's record, and Marlon Vera has only won 3 decisions in his career. And in all 3 of those decisions, he beat the living crap out of all 3 of those guys. All 3 of those fights could have been finished on several different occasions. The ref could have stopped the Font fight on several different occasions. Davey Grant was seconds away from going out or tapping in the third round. And then he also beat up somebody super bad, knocked him down, and destroyed him a couple years back as well. So Marlon Vera has really never won a decision where it's not, completely destroying the guy. And other than that, he's knocking guys out or he's submitting guys. Marlon Vera is super, super dangerous. And then you look through Pedro Munhoz's record, and Pedro Munhoz is another guy that has never been finished. But I was going through Munhoz's record, and he's been fighting in the UFC for a long time. And he's not really fought anybody dangerous. Like he's fought probably one dangerous guy on the feet, and that's John Dotson. And other than that, he's fighting a lot of grapplers, and he's fighting a lot of strikers with just no power. So this is going to probably be the most dangerous fighter that Pedro Munhoz has fought his entire career. And on top of that, he's now 36 years old. So a lot of people are laying the chalk on Marlon Vera, which I disagree with, because I think, like I said, this fight is probably close if it goes the full 15. And on top of that, you got to rely on the judges. But if Marlon Vera is able to pay off this minus 200 price tag, he's probably got to finish Munhoz, because I don't see Marlon Vera paying off a minus 200 in a decision win. It just wouldn't make a ton of sense because I think it's going to be competitive. So I kind of have a feeling Marlon Vera may be live for a late finish and maybe live to be the first one to finish Pedro Munhoz. And then I looked at the props and I saw Marlon Vera round 3 at plus 1,600, which is just wild for a Marlon Vera fight, because this guy is like one of the best fighters in the division in round 3. This guy is an absolute killer in round 3. So to see his round 3 prop at plus 1,600, I had to sprinkle it. And then I also sprinkled the round 2 at plus 1,150. I think this fight probably does go to decision, but those props, man, I mean, I think they're going to be live. At the very least, Marlon Vera is going to fight for those big props. So you just don't see third round props from Marlon Vera anywhere near those prices ever. So for that reason, I did sprinkle a quarter unit on the round 2 and round 3. This fight is a crap shoot to me. Yeah, it kind of is. Vera by decision. See it. What's your reasoning on being on the Pedro side? See a lot of people doubting Cheeto all of a sudden. I don't think really anybody's doubting Cheeto. My reasoning is I think Vera is going to lose the first round. I think he's going to win the third. And I think the second's going to be close. And then on top of that, we got to go to the judges, which are crooked and corrupt and typically get it wrong more often than not. Just look back last week to the Dawadu fight. Yeah, I think the split's a lot. I just don't bet splits anymore. Every time I bet the split decision, I mean, the fight finishes or the judges rob me of it. Cheeto will be the first one to KO Munhoz. I hope so. Hopefully it's in round 3. But it's only plus. Yeah, I would need a much better price tag for that. And on top of that, if I bet it, it wouldn't hit because I've bet like 8 split decision props and they've never hit. Yeah, you would think so. I mean, not in the first round, but he will come out hot in the second and third. Myself betting fight to go and Vera KOs Munhoz just ruins my night. Yeah, it could happen. Like this is gonna be the like I said, this Munhoz doesn't really fight anybody dangerous on the feet at least. He was a better version of Pedro at this stage. Yeah, Cheeto's not getting finished. I mean, if somebody's getting finished, it's Pedro Munhoz. Marlon Vera, I don't think is ever getting finished. This guy is next level durable. Weidman wins. I'm done betting. Goodness. Wadu wasn't a robbery. There's a lot of people that disagree with you. A lot of don't say that. I mean, people really think that was a robbery. We got Luis Pierre Dion 199. Appreciate you saying we love you, Brady. Appreciate you for hanging out and appreciate the dono, and it does mean a lot. I think that hits. I think it hits as long as he doesn't, die in the third round. I think it hits. Is addicted to combat in best bet tomorrow? Yes, sir, he is. Definitely lost that fight. I mean, I think it's clear that he lost the fight. But Elias tends to disagree, which it is what it is. I didn't have a bet on that fight. Cub even said he lost. I mean, yeah, Cub even said he did lose multiple times. So I don't know what Elias is talking about. Maybe just trying to be different. But yeah, a lot of people disagree with him. All right. We'll move on then to Mario Batista going against. I mean, I didn't have a bet on the fight, but I think it's just clear. Anybody that watched the fight, I mean, Cub lost the fight, but yeah, we can move on. Elias, it was last week, and we can move on. All right, so we have Mario Batista going against Damon Blackshear. We have I mean, the chat's going crazy. I'm trying to keep up with the chat, and I either skipped you because I missed it, or I mean, there might have been a reason I didn't skip you, or sometimes YouTube automatically doesn't let chats come through if there's some vulgar language. So I mean, there could be a couple reasons I skipped you, but trust me, I didn't mean to do it on purpose. I'm sorry. But anyway, let's try to move on and stay focused here. MMA upside. All right, Mario Batista going against Damon Blackshear. And yeah, it's actually very interesting. So I was not expecting Blackshear to make weight. I really wasn't. Double weight cut. Not only it wasn't a catch weight. Like I was shocked to see it wasn't at least like 140. But no, Blackshear comes in, makes the bantamweight limit, and looks incredible doing it. Like out of nowhere. Like I really, to be honest, I was not expecting that at all. I really wasn't. So a lot of people were betting on Blackshear prior to the weigh-ins, and I mean, I disagreed because, why not wait for the weigh-ins? But after the weigh-ins, I don't hate people taking a shot on Blackshear. I really don't. I, though, am very high on Mario Batista. I think Mario Batista is a very near future top 15 guy. So I'm a lot higher on Batista than a lot of guys are. But, since Blackshear did show up, he did make weight. And if we are getting the best version of Blackshear, Blackshear is super dangerous, and Mario Batista has been finished in both of his losses, one by knockout against Trevin Jones and once by submission. Blackshear is a very dangerous black belt in BJJ, and I know for a fact this fight is going to hit the mat, and maybe Blackshear is able to catch something early. I'm not sure how this double weight cut is going to affect Blackshear, because you got to think it's going to affect him, one way or another. And we have seen Blackshear slow down in the past. Most notably was that Yusuf Salah fight, which was a very, very bad look in the third round. Damon Blackshear got 10-8'd by Yusuf Salah. And I'll repeat that. Damon Blackshear got 10-8'd in the third round by Yusuf Salah, and the fight was on the verge to being stopped. Like a couple more shots. I mean, the fight was about to be over. So I have serious concerns about Blackshear if this fight does get extended, especially with that double weight cut. I don't trust his cardio in general, but I think Blackshear is very live to win this fight. I really do. So the spot I do like is I have one unit on the under 2.5 rounds at plus 100. I know some people like the over, but I was really surprised that, the under was at plus money. I mean, especially with the double weight cut situation for Blackshear, and especially because, Batista fights, they finished 6 out of 8 have went under 2.5 rounds. For Blackshear, it's 2 of 4. And on top of that, I think it's just going to be a car crash. For what it's worth, Blackshear did say he's going to knock him out in the first round, which I think he's going to try to. I think Blackshear is going to try to go after it in the first round, knowing that if he doesn't finish early, there might be some trouble down the stretch. So yeah, I like the under here at plus money, under 2.5, 1 unit on it. Just very surprised with that price tag. I thought they were going to juice violence big time in this fight, but especially because Batista has been finishing early. Blackshear finished early in his last fight. So yeah, I just see a complete car crash here. It's dog or pass from a money line perspective after the weigh-ins. But a lot of people are going to be on Blackshear here for sure. So we'll see if you guys can hit that ticket. But I like violence here at plus money nonetheless. Yeah, I mean, shout out to Damon for making the weight cut. I mean, that was impressive. I was not expecting that. Looked good. Yeah, he looked good. He looked good. Actually looked really good at weigh-ins. He did. I'm on Blackshear. I think he stayed ready for this. Yeah, we'll see if he can make history. I mean, that's just wild. I mean, fighting last week, cutting weight again back to bantamweight, and if he can go out there and beat a guy like Mario Batista, his stock is going to skyrocket. Be surprised by an upset by Blackshear. Just not too confident either one. Yeah, same here. Same here. Damon knew about the fight on Saturday night. He could have had a catch weight and didn't need it. Yeah, that's wild. And yeah, from a DFS perspective, 7,100 for Damon Blackshear against a guy that's been finished twice. And Mario Batista, one by knockout, one by sub. I think he's definitely in play. MMA Fight Club, Santivas knows his stuff. Good luck everyone this weekend. Appreciate MMA Fight Club. Best of luck to you as well. We got East Money saying, who are your favorite picks for the 7K range in DFS? Blackshear, we just talked about. Lemos is somebody with a puncher's chance, early finish upside. O'Malley's somebody with a puncher's chance. And Gerald Meerschaert, close to the 7K range. And that's about it, to be honest. Low 7K, those are who I like. Andrea Lee, maybe, but more so from a cash perspective, I'd say. People say this is a good move for Blackshear, but I think it's a tough matchup, even on that high. Plus, yes, the double weight cut. Mario's serious, tough call. Probably goes, though. Goes where? Blackshear is about to show everybody what's good. Mario's strength of schedule is actually suspect. It is, man. It is. It is very suspect. It is very suspect. I mean, beating, Guido Canetti, a realtor, and Benito Lopez. And then he had another suspect win as well. So, yeah, I mean, I get it. Batista, 4th sub in a row. Yeah, the twister was wicked. That was nice. 3rd one ever. With Mario Batista round 2 and round 3, I mean, they're probably all over it. I saw the Bet365 prices. They didn't look good. But BetOnline has Batista round 2, 550, and the Batista round 3, 850. I mean, they're all over it, which is expected. No PFL thoughts. Did not look into it. I was actually looking into Singapore for next week. To decision. I mean, I hope not. I'll lose my bet, but I mean, maybe it does. All right. Yeah, I did notice that as well. Batista does put himself into bad spots, and if you're grappling with a dangerous black belt and Blackshear, I mean, you better be careful, Mario Batista. What are you looking for in these ceremonial weigh-ins? Nothing really. That's kind of why I went on here and did the show a little bit earlier than usual. Nothing really. I got all my reads already. I watched the weigh-ins. Not really looking for anything, to be honest. I'll watch them, but nothing I'm really looking for. And I don't think anything's really going to change my mind in these ceremonials. I got Batista inside the distance. That's kind of where I'm leaning as well. But after seeing Blackshear make the weight, I mean, I have no interest in Batista at all at this point. PFL and Bellator are always almost never worth. I don't mind watching PFL or Bellator. It's just betting on PFL and Bellator. I don't really like to do, especially Bellator. Pretty much all big favorites, massive chalk. I mean, you pretty much are forced to do parlays, and those parlays don't always hit. So I don't like betting on it, but I don't mind watching it. All right. In the Patreon, do you arrange the picks in order of most confident to least? Yes, I do. I do the full card breakdown and best bet article where I put all my confidence ratings with the picks, and then I rank them in order. So, for example, my most confident pick this week, I think, is Ian Gary, who is going to be at the top. And then my least confident pick this week, I think, is Sean O'Malley, which is going to be all the way to the bottom there. Is Morose the best underdog? There's a couple live dogs. I think she's probably my favorite, but Silva in the first round concerns me. But we'll move on to the next fight. We got Ian Machado Gary going against Neil Magny. We have Ian Gary as a massive favorite. Ian Gary is currently sitting around like minus 500, and Neil Magny is sitting around plus 375. And yeah, I mean, I hate this matchup for Neil Magny. I think the chalk is, rightfully so here on Ian Gary. I do have a couple bets. First and foremost, I think Ian Gary inside the distance, a good look here. I think it's minus 135, but this is how I played it. I have 1.25 units on the fight to end by knockout at plus 105. Why didn't I bet Gary by knockout, you ask? Well, fight to end by knockout was plus 105, and then Gary by knockout was like plus 108. So, I mean, just cover them both. And even some books have Gary by knockout at like minus 110. So I think I put 1.25 units on the fight ends by knockout, and then I sprinkled very, very smallly Gary sub 2, 0.15 units plus 2,300, and then Gary sub 3, 0.10 units plus 4,500. I think knockout's most likely. I don't necessarily think a sub is that much in play, other than Magny does get subbed a lot is the only reason. Gary doesn't really go for subs, but I mean, if he's going to get a sub, I think this is the matchup it happens. So yeah, I think Gary probably does win by knockout, but I had to sprinkle those sub props 2-3 because they're crazy prices. 2,300 for round 2, 4,500 for round 3. Very small sprinkles on them, but I think Gary wins this fight really however he wants. Whether he wants to knock out Neil Magny, whether he wants to submit Neil Magny, or even a dominant decision could be in play as well. But I think Gary gets his hand raised, and I just don't like Magny's chances in this fight. I think the one hole in Ian Gary's game is the striking defense, potential chin issues, but against Neil Magny, that's not something he's going to have to worry about. A Neil Magny win would shock me quite a bit. And I'm not really sure how he wins other than a cage push, maybe even a robbery decision for Neil Magny. So give me Gary here. Don't like the price on DraftKings, though. 9,600 when you can get, Zhang Wei for cheaper, Sterling for cheaper, even Batista, Rodriguez for cheaper. I mean, Petroski for cheaper. I mean, I think there's much better options than Gary, but I think he scores well. I think he's safe. I think he's a solid cash play. Gary versus Magny over 1.5 at minus 140. Is that minus 145 for real? Holy crap. Yeah, it is. Minus 145, minus 155. That's interesting. I think it's a late finish personally, but I mean, it sounds like Gary's coming out here fighting pissed off, so I don't know. Might take the over. I wouldn't take the 2.5. But yeah, I don't hate the over 1.5. I don't hate it. This is a matchup for Magny. He doesn't have the size advantage and has pillow. Yeah, he does have pillow hands. She might. As long as she does it by submission and not decision, I'll be happy. Who's betting Ian Gary at minus 500? I'm sure like people are throwing him in the parlays. I think that's what's happening here. I don't know why people are high on Gary. He fought a statue last time in Song Kanon, and now he's going up against a true veteran with high output and takedown stuffing ability. I don't know. I mean, I just think it's a good matchup for him. I mean, if he was fighting Jeff Neal, it'd be a different story. Obviously, he wouldn't be minus 500, but I just think it's a tough matchup. And Magny looked atrocious in his last. I mean, Neil Magny went life and death with Phil Rowe, and I will repeat that. Neil Magny went life and death with Phil Rowe and went 0 for 3 on takedowns. How much is a sprinkle? So for the sprinkle for Gary sub 2, 0.15 units would be $15, and then 0.10 for round 3, $10. $100 a unit for me. Gary by decision. Hope not. All the casuals saying a KO early. It really could. I mean, he knocked out Daniel Rodriguez in the first round, which nobody's knocked out Daniel Rodriguez ever. Not even in prison had Daniel Rodriguez not been knocked out. So, yeah, he absolutely could knock out Neil Magny in the first round. Covered everywhere. Ian Gary is better grappler than Magny, but that may be a hot take. Yeah, defensively, Magny's grappling is very bad. Offensively, he's a good grappler, but defensively leaves a lot to be desired. This guy gets subbed a ton. Magny, yeah, I think if Magny wins, it's by decision. All right, let's move on to the co-main event. We got Zhang Weili going against Amanda Lemos. So this is my biggest bet on the card. So typically when DraftKings and books like DraftKings and FanDuel open up props randomly, typically they are wrong more often than not, and that was the case last Friday. They got out the props for the main event and the co-main event, and somebody hits me up on Twitter. Shout out Snoop. This guy hits me up and he's like, "Dude, the fight doesn't go to decision in the co-main events minus 150, and the fight doesn't go to decision in the main event is plus 125." So I rushed over, and I typically never bet on fights where I have not researched and done the tape and all that, but these lines stuck out so much that I gave my Uncle Weezy a call, and we talked through them, and we're like, "Yeah, we like this spot, we like this spot." So I end up putting 3 units on the fight doesn't go in the co-main event, minus 150. Obviously, that line has moved probably the most this is gonna be the most I've ever beat a line ever. It's currently minus like 345, 350. So I get to, I guess I get to hold up my closing line value trophy with that one. So I put 3 units on. If I would have taped the fight and research, it would have been a 5-unit play for sure. So I'm on that. At this point, obviously it's juiced, but I think it's a good parlay piece, and I still like the under 3.5 rounds at this point. I know Uncle Weezy got on the under 3.5 at plus 100. I still think it's a good look. I think somebody's getting served here, and somebody's getting served here very, very early. So yeah, if you got in on those early fight doesn't go decision numbers or the 3.5, you did your job, and you did your job by a mile. I know everybody got in on those violence props that DraftKings released there. But yeah, I think Amanda Lemos is going to have power early. Maybe she can stop Zhang Weili in the first round, maybe second round. But as this fight goes on, Zhang Weili is going to take over. She's going to put it on her, and she's going to finish her. Whether it's knockout, sub, I'm not sure. But I like violence one way or another. I think somebody's getting served. I think somebody's going down. My biggest play of the night is on the fight doesn't go to decision here. From a DraftKings perspective, I think both fighters have a ton of up. This main event and this co-main event, I think both fighters have a ton of upside. Zhang Weili wrestling upside, finish upside. Amanda Lemos slate breaking potential with a first round finish. So great fight to target on DK. I do lean Zhang to get it done though, one way or another. I was looking at maybe the fight ends by submission. It was something stupid like plus 450 earlier in the week. But people, bet that down to, I think, plus like 320, something like that. So not a ton of intrigue there, but I thought, early on that could have been something to look at. But yeah, I'm on violence here, and that's pretty much it. Let's see what we got in here. Magny ain't winning respectfully. I mean, yeah, Magny win would shock me, especially on short notice as well, which we got to remember. Zhang's gonna KO her. Didn't like how Lemos looked on the scale. Looked drained. Yeah, she did. I mean, she probably has to cut a lot of weight there. We got Bailey saying, "Oi." Elijah one saying, "I'm on the under 3.5, but parlayed fight doesn't go decision with the main event. The fight doesn't go." I think a lot of people are doing that. I think it makes sense. Hold it up, Brady. I mean, I ordered this after UFC 291. If you guys don't remember, I had a massive night for UFC 291. I think it went up like plus 15 units. Hit a Hail Mary parlay as well. I ended up ordering that trophy. I got a t-shirt as well. So I think I spent my winnings accordingly there. I got to consult Uncle Weezy. Yeah, whenever me and Weezy see a line that sticks out, we like to give each other a call and talk it over. And like, hey, this came out like I remember the fight doesn't go for the Medic fight came out at like minus 160. I call him. He's at breakfast, but it's important. I mean, because these lines sometimes they really, really stick out. Bailey 100 likes. Yes, let's get it. Appreciate you all for liking the video. Getting 100 likes is always a good thing to do by the time we get done with the stream. Don't mind it. Don't mind it at all. Sprinkling the sub 1, 2, 3. Life and death with Phil. I mean, yeah, life and death with Phil Rose, not good. Magny aging like mayonnaise. Gary's going to murk him. I'm right there with you. I have the weirdest feeling Suga's gonna kill my DFS slate. Kill in a good way or a bad way? So the shirt I got, it's the shirt I got. I don't know if I have with me. It just says no overs, just no over, because I hate betting overs. I will never bet an over, and if I do bet an over, I mean it has to really stick out. But the shirt says no overs. I haven't worn it yet, but maybe I'll debut it after maybe next week. What plays are you most confident in after weigh-ins? Weigh-ins didn't change anything for me. Nothing stuck out. Everyone made weight. The only people that didn't look great on the scale, I'd say, was Lemos, O'Malley. Blackshear looked incredible on the scale. So I guess those are the things that stuck out the most. Everybody else looked fine. So yeah, the weigh-ins didn't really sway much for me, honestly. And it's funny you say that, Scenarios, because Wheezy was actually eating flapjacks. And then after we talked about that spot, Wheezy ended up max betting it. That's a terrible. I mean, it's an awesome shirt. No overs. No over. It's actually a really nice shirt. It was like $20 to customize there. All right. Main event time. Appreciate you all hanging out. I know we got ceremonial weigh-ins. They're supposed to be going on, but I imagine they're going to take a while to get going there. Yeah, so Sean O'Malley, Aljamain Sterling, and like I talked about, DraftKings Sportsbook. DraftKings Sportsbook, shout out to them. I wish they would release lines more early, more often, because they put the fight doesn't go to decision at plus 125. Plus 125. And I didn't get 125. They moved it to plus 115. And then by the time I got around to seeing it, they had it at plus 100. And then that's when I called Wheezy. And then I'm like, plus 100 for a striker versus grappler matchup. And I didn't tape it at the time. And if I would have taped it, it would have probably been a much bigger bet. But I ended up putting 2 units on the fight doesn't go at plus 100. Really like that line. Obviously, it's moved a decent amount throughout the week. I still think violence is the answer here. I like the under 4.5, the under 3.5. I think this fight finishes within the first couple rounds. If Aljamain Sterling gets down Sean O'Malley and is able to secure position, get on top or take his back, I really do feel like he can finish the fight shortly after. And then obviously if O'Malley is able to stuff these takedowns, keep it at range, he very well could knock out Aljamain Sterling. So once again, I'm looking at violence. I don't have a strong lean on who wins this fight. I could see Sterling taking him down and subbing him instantly. I really could see that. Or I could see Sean O'Malley making Sterling work, stuffing the takedowns, keeping it at range, and on the feet, Sean O'Malley hits very hard, and I could see him knocking out Aljamain Sterling. So I think it's Sterling by sub, O'Malley by KO. But I like the fight doesn't go decision, which is another very popular play. I know a lot of people that got in on the early main event violence last week at this point. So I'm on violence, 2 units. Fight doesn't go decision there. From a DraftKings perspective, I like the both sides. I mean, Sterling has wrestling upside, takedown upside, control time upside, finish upside. And then O'Malley, he's super cheap, knockout upside, tons of power. So I think it's a fight that is borderline must target for me on DraftKings, both the main and co-main event. I have a ton of interest in from a DraftKings perspective. So give me violence in the main event. Give me violence in the co-main event. And my night pretty much comes down to the main event, the co-main event, and unfortunately, the freaking Karina Silva, Marina Morose fight. So that's going to suck. But I need Karina Silva not to win a decision. And then I need the main event and co-main event to finish. And then whatever happens. I'll be pretty happy there. All right, let's see what you guys got in the chat, and then we will head out of here. Fight ends in KO. What are the odds for that? I think you're talking about the co-main event. I think I saw it at minus 140, but that might have came down since people are betting the fight ends by sub. Aldra's going to ragdoll Sean for 5 rounds to get the sub. I could see an early sub for sure. Sean looked a little off. Yeah, looked like a little rough cut. I really think violence is the answer here. You stop saying that, brah. Well, I really think violence is the answer here in this co-main event and main event. Petroski over 8.5 minutes save. Not entirely. I mean, I could see Petroski knocking him out in the first round. Last week's card was crazy. But I think every single prelim finished. I think like everyone but one of those prelims finished in like the first round. So yeah, if you were on the overs last week, you got murked. But I didn't have any bets last week. I'm just going to frustrate Sugar for 25 minutes. Split decision robbery incoming for Sugar in Boston, plus 2,000. I don't know if I can see Sean winning a decision. I think if he's winning minutes, he's probably knocking him out. 4+ takedowns in this fight is at plus 125. That's a lot of takedowns. Yeah, I think Sterling has a good chance to win. I saw like they had the 1-2-3 in there. I don't hate that. I think Sterling, if he can take him down and take the back, I mean, he probably finishes. Sugar hasn't finished anybody impressive. He probably shouldn't have won against Jan. Yeah, I think so, but my Jan ticket unfortunately says otherwise. Had a pretty big bet on Petr Yan against Sean O'Malley. Is Willie a lock? Absolutely not. Nothing's a lock in MMA, especially WMMA. I don't think this fight goes to decision, but I had to sprinkle O'Malley. Split majority decision plus 2,100. That's a ridiculous number. Yeah, maybe Sterling gets robbed. Could happen. It literally doesn't matter if he wins minutes. If he doesn't get finished, you think it's going to be a robbery? I mean, maybe. Maybe we'll see. I bet Gary in the first or second round plus 320. Jan, I need to get on the book you have, man. I mean, that is a very good price. You're always getting very, very good prices. I'm jealous at a lot of them, and that one included. Not sure. I'm going to check the MGM sub props pretty soon. All right. We did it, guys. I'm going to quickly go through my action. I'll also be posting a betting breakdown video around 6 o'clock Eastern time. So these were the bets I got last Friday when DraftKings released these props. 3 units on the fight doesn't go in the co-main event, minus 150. And then 2 units on the fight doesn't go in the main event, plus 100. At this point, I'd recommend the under 3.5, potentially in both. I have Marina Morose under 2.5 rounds. Marina versus Silva under 2.5 rounds, 1 unit plus 100. I have Morose round 2, quarter unit 1,300, quarter unit 2,000 for round 3. Marina Morose decision only, which is the opposite of finish only. Means if the fight finishes, it's voided. 2.5 units on that for minus 113. The Gary Magny fight ends by knockout, 1.25 units plus 105. And then 0.15 unit sprinkle on Gary sub 2 plus 2,300. 0.10 unit sprinkle Gary sub 3 plus 4,500. Greg Rodriguez wins by submission, half a unit plus 225. Rodriguez sub 1, quarter unit plus 390. Sub 2 for Rodriguez, quarter unit plus 1,100. Tavares inside the distance, half a unit plus 120. Tavares round 2 KO, quarter unit plus 650. Tavares round 3 KO, quarter unit plus 1,300. Kurt Holobaugh, scorecards, no action, finish only, 1 unit plus 108. Blackshear Batista under 2.5 rounds, 1 unit plus 100. Vera wins round 2, quarter unit plus 1,150. And then Vera wins round 3, quarter unit plus 1,600. It's not a ton of units on the line. I mean, a ton of sprinkles, 19 bets total, but 17 of them are plus money. Lots of plus money sprinkles. We'll see if we can hit a couple of those there. Best parlay card of the year. That's interesting because I have 0 parlays this week. But yeah, there are some good parlay spots, I think. Ian Gary was a good parlay piece, but now he's not. So I'm actually curious to hear what you're parlaying up this week. Let's see here. Aljo's head movement is so suspect. Yeah, he was dipping his head. It was kind of weird there. O'Malley decision. I hope not. I mean, yeah, Sean decision wouldn't make sense to me, but unless like you guys are saying, maybe it's a robbery. Aljo won't take 15 minutes. Yeah, I think it could be early. All right, so I think that's about it, guys. Thank you all for hanging out. If you guys could do me a favor, leave a like on your way out, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you tomorrow for Best Bet. We'll be going live, I want to say, like around 4:30 Eastern time, 2 hours prior to the prelims. It's me, Patrick, Addicted Combat, and Danny Betts, and we'll see if anybody else shows. I might get another person as well. Oh, let's see here. All right. Sounds good. All right, guys. Thank you for watching. Best of luck and enjoy the fights. Very, very good card on Saturday. See you guys.